This is Optimal Startup Daily, episode 29. Are You an Entrepreneur? By Ludovic Vuillier of the Good Life Manifesto.com. And I'm Dan. I am your host here on Optimal Startup Daily, and I'm here every single day reading to you from some of the best blogs on entrepreneurship to help you optimize your business life. And as usual, I'm going to tell you more about today's new author right after the reading. So for now, let's get right to it as we optimize your life. Are You an Entrepreneur? By Ludovic Vuillier of the GoodLifeManifesto.com. Entrepreneurship. One word with so many layers attached to its meaning. Some people imagine someone with red eyes working hard into the night with the coffee mug no more than an arm's length away. Others imagine a suave individual wearing a nice suit, slickly closing a deal for an investment in his new venture. And yet others imagine someone on the beach with their laptop on one side and their drink on the other, calmly enjoying the sun and typing away when something comes up. What do you think of when you hear the word entrepreneur? Is it one of those scenarios, or is it something completely different? I propose we look at the definition of the word entrepreneur to get a better understanding of what it is and what it is not. But before we do that, let's first stop and ask an even more important question. Why is the definition of an entrepreneur and entrepreneurship so important? In the words of Shakespeare, what's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell just as sweet. And yes, it is true. No matter what we call it, an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. But the definition is important so that we can know who is an entrepreneur, who can become an entrepreneur, and what is required to become an entrepreneur. But again, the same question, why is this important? In our society, there is a certain aura around entrepreneurs. Many people would like to consider themselves such, but have no idea how to go about it or if they are even capable of such a thing. By defining what an entrepreneur is, you will be able to know if you are one, if you have the ability to become one, and what skills are needed to become one. And if you realize you don't want to be one, then at least you'll have no regrets about it and will be able to fully enjoy what you currently do. Wouldn't you say this is a great cause? So let's get to it. What is an entrepreneur? As you've seen from the beginning, defining entrepreneurship is no easy task. Take a moment to yourself and see if you can come up with a definition. Professor Howard Stevenson from the Harvard Business School defines entrepreneurship in the following way. Quote, "Entrepreneurship is the pursuit of opportunity beyond resources controlled." End quote. Let's break it down. Entrepreneurship. This is what we're looking to define. So far, so good. Is the pursuit. To pursue something means to be focused and proactive about it. Most people live life in a reactionary manner. Day after day, they do the same things until something jolts them out of it. This is not pursuit. Pursuit means that you are proactive in determining what steps need to be taken to achieve a certain goal, and you then go out and do it. That is pursuit. Of opportunity. Opportunity is a favorable circumstance or chance for progress. Entrepreneurs look to improve and create. Those are opportunities. This can be otherwise stated as goals. Now, if we were to stop here in our definition, this would not be a narrow enough definition. But not only would this not be a narrow enough definition, the most important part is missing. Let me illustrate my point. Imagine one of the world's biggest corporations hires a highly skilled engineer to work on a prototype for a brand new product. Every day, 5 days a week, this engineer comes into his office and proactively works on making this prototype work. When he goes home, his mind doesn't stop thinking about it. Based on this description alone, it would appear our engineer is an entrepreneur. But is he really? Of course not. Here's why. Let's say that during this time, our faithful engineer needs a new machine. What does he do? He puts in an order for the acquisition of the machine. By the miracle of corporate bureaucracy and funding, our engineer now has his shiny new machine to play with. A few days later, he needs to hire some additional people to work with the machine while he continues brainstorming. What does he do? He speaks to his boss about hiring a few additional people. And a few weeks later, when he walks into his office one shiny morning, he meets his assistants. While the work this engineer may be doing might be groundbreaking, and while he may be proactively pursuing this work every waking moment, he's not an entrepreneur because the last part of the definition is not true for him. And the last part is what sets entrepreneurs apart from the rest of the pack. That part of the definition is beyond resources controlled. An entrepreneur has limited resources. whether this is in reality true or simply because an entrepreneur knows it is a good strategy to be lean in business. So how does the entrepreneur get the additional resources required? With good old hustle, in the best possible way. By putting his heart into it, developing a plan for getting access to those resources, be they time, money, skills, people, etc., and then proactively pursuing those resources. Our engineer in the example I just mentioned has no such worries or thoughts. Whatever he needs, he can just ask Big Daddy Corporation to get for him. And that is the difference between an entrepreneur and a dedicated employee. But here's something many people don't realize. You can absolutely be an employee and be an entrepreneur. This is extremely important since learning the skills to be an entrepreneur and being able to practice them when you still have your job is of supreme importance. Why? Because you get to learn and practice in a real business environment. Also, you get paid while you learn, so you don't lose the stability of a regular income while you learn the skills necessary to become an entrepreneur. So, are you an entrepreneur? You just listened to the post titled, "Are You an Entrepreneur?" by Ludovic Vuillier of the GoodLifeManifesto.com. And thanks to Ludovic for giving us permission to narrate his work. You can come visit his site, which I have linked in this episode's description and at oldpodcast.com. And to tell you a little bit about Ludovic, he is the founder of the Good Life Manifesto that actually has a team. He loves to travel, he has a great passion for animals and birds in particular, and he's very open about having grown up with panic attacks, even to the point of hospitalization, and he was greatly impacted by the book The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which helped him turn his life around. So it's a great story, and again, you can find much more about Ludovic at thegoodlifemanifesto.com. And Ludovic, we thank you again for letting us read your work here. And that's it for another edition of Optimal Startup Daily. Tomorrow I'll be back again, of course, with a post from Stella of woopa.com. So I'll see you there for the Friday show, where your optimal life awaits.